Welcome back, Deep Divers. Today, we're going to be digging into something I think you'll find pretty fascinating.
Okay.
It's how we can actually, harness our imaginations
Oh, wow.
to get what we want out of life,
Yeah.
achieve our goals,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing it through this motivational video I found.
Okay.
It's all about using our imaginations, but it's also got this Jungian psychology kind of flavor to it,
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're going way past just like basic visualization today.
Okay.
We're getting into the nitty gritty of actually making your dreams a reality
All right.
through the power of your mind.
Sounds good.
So the video starts off by saying something pretty bold, actually.
Okay.
Like, it's not just about daydreaming, this imagination thing.
Right.
It's actually like the foundation of creation itself. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, and Jung was really big on the whole idea of the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
He believed there was this incredible wellspring of creative power there.
And that our imaginations were basically a direct link to tap into it.
So it's not just some fluffy feel-good thing.
No, not at all.
This is like deep, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So how do we actually use it then? Like, does the video give us any steps to actually,
It does, actually.
Okay.
It lays out a 3-step process for manifesting desires.
Okay, I'm all ears.
It's clarity,
Okay.
embodiment,
Uh,
and consistency.
All right, clarity, that makes sense, right? Like, you got to know what you want before you can even imagine it.
Exactly.
Yay.
Yeah, the video really emphasizes the importance of being crystal clear about your desires. Like, not just some vague wishes,
Yeah.
but specific, well-defined goals. They use the analogy of an architect designing a dream house,
Yeah, I like that.
like every detail from the way out to the material.
Right.
It all needs to be clear in the architect's mind before the first brick is even laid.
You need the blueprints.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got the blueprint in mind.
Right.
What's the next step?
Okay, so that's where embodiment comes in.
Okay.
This is where we go beyond just thinking about what we want.
Okay.
We actually start to feel it
Okay.
as if it's already real.
So we're not just looking at the blueprints anymore.
No.
We're walking through that finished house,
Exactly.
feeling the textures, smelling the fresh paint,
Yeah.
really getting into it.
The more senses you engage, the more convincingly your mind actually accepts that vision as reality.
Ah, interesting.
It's like you're programming your subconscious to say,
Okay.
yep, this is happening.
This is real.
Exactly.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Our brains are wired to respond to our senses.
Yeah.
So the more real we make it feel,
Yeah.
the more our subconscious is like, okay, I guess this is actually possible.
Exactly.
All right, so what about that third step, consistency? What does that look like?
Well, it's all about making this practice of imagination a regular part of your life. The video suggests daily practice, especially before sleep, actually, because that's when your subconscious is most receptive.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like working a muscle.
Okay.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts every now and then.
No, it's got to be more than that.
It's about actively, consistently engaging your imagination.
In a structured way, yeah.
All right, but let's be real for a second.
Sure.
Doubts creep in.
Yeah,
So-
right.
Like, how do we deal with that voice that's like, come on, this is all just wishful thinking?
Right, well, that's where understanding the nature of thoughts comes in.
Okay.
The video really highlights this point that doubts,
Yeah.
they're just thoughts.
Hmm.
They're not facts.
Right.
They don't have any inherent power unless we give it to them.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And there's a great William Blake quote about this.
Oh, I love William Blake.
What is now proved was once only imagined.
Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So all the stuff we take for granted now, like airplanes, the internet,
Yeah.
that all started with someone's imagination.
Yeah,
Right.
deeply.
So, okay,
Yeah.
but practically speaking,
Sure.
how do we actually quiet those inner critics down when they start getting loud?
Well, it's a practice, like anything else.
Okay.
Some people find affirmations helpful, just repeating positive statements to counteract the negative thoughts.
Right.
Other people, they find it's helpful to reframe the negative thought into a positive one. And some people just focus on past successes,
That makes sense.
even small ones, just to remind yourself that you are capable.
Yeah, you can do it.
Exactly.
So it's really about where we choose to focus our attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Like, instead of getting caught up in the doubts, we can consciously shift our focus to what's possible.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this imagination thing. We're being consistent with it. We're silencing the doubts.
Right.
What about emotions then? Like, do we just have to be happy and excited all the time? That's a good question.
To make this stuff work.
It's not about denying or suppressing any emotions.
Okay.
It's about understanding how they influence this whole process.
Okay.
The source material really emphasizes that emotions are like energetic magnets, you know?
Okay.
They attract experiences that match their frequency.
So if I'm feeling all anxious and doubtful about my goals,
Right.
I'm actually pushing them further away.
You're sending a mixed message to your subconscious.
Gotcha.
Positive emotions, though, like joy, excitement, and especially gratitude, those amplify the power of your imagination and help align you with the outcomes that you want.
So even before something happens,
Right.
if I'm feeling grateful for it,
Yes.
it's more likely to come to me.
It might sound a little counterintuitive,
It does.
but it's about shifting your focus from a sense of lack
Okay.
to a feeling of abundance.
And that changes things.
That shift in perspective, that can have a huge impact on your reality.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
So we're talking about intentionally using our imagination.
Right.
We've got clear goals.
Yep.
Sensory details. We're bringing in the emotions.
Yeah.
And we're doing this to create the life we want.
Exactly.
But is it just about manifesting, material things? Or can we use this for personal growth too?
It's absolutely applicable to personal transformation.
Okay, so like if I want to be more confident,
Right.
I could visualize myself speaking up in meetings, maybe leading a project,
Exactly.
handling some tough situation
Yeah.
with grace and composure.
Yeah, by repeatedly visualizing yourself acting with those qualities,
Okay.
you're essentially rewiring your brain and creating these new neural pathways that support those behaviors.
It's like mental rehearsal.
Yeah, exactly. It's like practicing in your mind before you do it in the real world.
So we're not just daydreaming about who we want to be.
Right.
We're actively shaping our future selves.
Through the power of imagination. Yeah.
This is getting really interesting.
Yeah.
But okay, got to ask the tough question.
All right.
Is there any, scientific proof to this?
Well,
Or is this just a bunch of feel-good stuff?
there's actually a growing body of research in neuroscience
Okay.
that suggests that imagined experiences can create neural pathways that are similar to those formed by real experiences.
So even though we're just imagining it,
Right.
our brain is reacting like it's really happening.
In a way, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
When we repeatedly engage in positive visualizations,
Okay.
we're literally rewiring our brains for success.
Okay.
And that can influence our future thoughts, feelings, and actions.
So that connects back to Jung, right?
It does.
Like how does the subconscious thing play into all of this rewiring?
Well, Jung believed that the world we perceive is a reflection of our inner state.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Are we saying that our thoughts actually create our reality?
It's not as simple as saying that every thought we have instantly manifests. But what you consistently focus on,
Yeah.
what you believe, that shapes your perceptions and influences your experiences.
So like our imagination is a filter then?
It's more like a tuning fork, actually.
Okay.
When you imagine your desires with clarity and conviction, you're tuning your inner frequency to match the reality where those desires already exist.
So like finding the right radio station.
Exactly. You got to adjust the dial until you're in sync with the frequency you want to receive.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the million-dollar question.
Okay.
Does all this visualizing replace actually doing things?
That's a great question.
Like if I just imagine myself winning a marathon,
Right.
can I skip the training?
That highlights a common misconception, actually.
Okay.
Imagination isn't a replacement for action.
Okay.
It's a catalyst for it.
I see.
Think of it this way. Clear visualization leads to inspired action.
Okay.
And that's what bridges the gap between imagination and manifestation.
So I still got to put in the work. But by vividly imagining myself, crossing that finish line,
Yeah.
I'm more likely to stay motivated and actually do what it takes to get there.
Exactly. And here's the most exciting part.
Okay.
Your imagination is limitless.
Wait a minute.
It's not bound by your current circumstances.
Okay.
Past experiences.
Okay.
Even the laws of physics.
Are we talking about bending spoons with our minds now?
Not quite.
Yeah.
The point is to not limit yourself.
Okay.
Dream big, imagine the impossible, because your imagination is a direct expression of your infinite creative power.
This is a lot to process,
It is.
but it's pretty inspiring stuff.
Yeah.
So if we can imagine anything, what's the ultimate goal here? What are we actually aiming for with all this imagination work?
Well, the video describes it as living a life of abundance.
Okay, but we need to clarify what that actually means.
Right.
Because most people hear abundance and they just think of money,
Yeah.
material possessions,
Yeah, that's true, but abundance is so much more than that. It's about experiencing the fullness of life in every single moment. It's about connecting to your inner power, embracing your creativity, and sharing your unique gifts with the world.
So it's not just about getting what we want.
Yeah.
It's about becoming who we're meant to be.
Exactly. And imagination is the key to unlocking that potential.
This is great stuff, but we've been talking for a while now.
We have.
So maybe it's time to move on to the next step.
Okay.
And dig a little deeper
I'm ready.
into this whole idea of using our imagination to transform our lives.
Sounds good. It's like you're the artist of your own life. Your imagination is the palette.
Okay.
And your thoughts, feelings, actions, those are the brushstrokes
I like that.
that create the masterpiece.
Yeah, it really highlights that we have this creative power within us.
We do.
Right.
We do.
But you mentioned a next step before.
I did. What was that? Well, the source material introduces this concept called revision.
Okay.
And this is where things get really interesting. It suggests that we can actually use our imagination to rewrite our past experiences.
Wait, hold on. Now, before you just dismiss this as some kind of mind trickery,
Okay.
hear me out.
Yeah, no, I'm curious.
Yeah.
But the skeptical side of me is like, how can we change something that's already happened?
Right. Well, the idea is that our subconscious mind doesn't always distinguish between real and imagined experiences.
Okay.
So by vividly reimagining past events,
Okay.
but in a more positive light,
Right.
we can actually reprogram our subconscious
Okay.
to align with more desirable outcomes.
So for example, let's say I had a job interview that didn't go so well.
Right.
Could I go back and kind of like reimagine that interview?
Exactly.
See myself answering the questions confidently?
Yeah.
Really connecting with the interviewers?
Exactly. Or imagine like a past argument with a loved one.
Okay.
You can revisit that scene in your mind
Right.
and envision yourself responding with more patience,
Okay.
more understanding.
Right. Leading to like a peaceful resolution. Exactly.
It's like we're editing the film of our lives.
Yeah.
Replacing those negative scenes with more empowering ones.
Exactly. You got it.
But is there any science to back this up?
There is, actually.
Sorry.
Neuroscience has shown that imagined experiences,
Okay.
they can create neural pathways that are similar to those formed by real experiences.
So even though it's just in our imagination,
Right.
our brains are treating it like it actually happened.
In a way, yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So when we repeatedly engage in those positive visualizations,
Okay.
we're essentially rewiring our brains for success.
Okay, so this is more than just positive thinking then.
It is. It's deeper than that.
It seems like there are layers to this, right?
There are.
Are there any specific Jungian concepts that relate to this idea of revision?
Well, this ties into Jung's concept of the shadow.
Okay.
It's that part of ourselves that we tend to reject or repress.
Right.
It often contains negative emotions and past experiences that we'd rather forget.
The stuff we try to bury.
Exactly. But Jung believed that true wholeness comes from integrating our shadow,
Okay.
rather than trying to ignore it.
So instead of trying to bury those negative experiences,
Right.
we can use our imagination to kind of reframe them,
Yeah.
understand the lessons they hold,
Right.
and ultimately integrate them into a more complete sense of self.
Exactly. Like you're turning those perceived weaknesses into sources of strength.
I like that.
Yeah.
But that process of revision, of facing those shadow elements, that can be pretty tough, right?
Yeah, it can be challenging. Yeah.
We talked about silencing those inner critics before,
Right.
but those doubts can get really loud when we're trying to rewrite a painful or challenging experience.
They can. And it's important to remember that those doubts,
Yeah.
they're often rooted in fear.
Yeah.
Fear of failure, fear of the unknown,
Yeah.
fear of not being good enough.
Right.
But remember what we discussed earlier, those fears are just thoughts.
Okay.
They don't define us.
So we need to approach this process with some self-compassion,
Absolutely.
right? It's okay to feel those doubts,
Of course.
but we don't have to let them run the show.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging those fears,
Okay.
but choosing to focus on the possibility of growth and transformation.
I mean, we don't have to do this alone.
Right.
You don't?
No.
Sometimes it helps to have a guide,
Yeah.
someone who can help us navigate those challenging emotions and reframe those negative experiences,
Right.
in a more empowering way.
That's where the role of a therapist or a counselor can be so valuable.
Yeah.
They can provide a safe and supportive space to explore those shadow elements
Right.
and rewrite those limiting narratives.
And it's not just about therapy, right?
No.
It's about having a supportive community in general.
Exactly.
Surrounding ourselves with people who believe in us, who encourage our growth, and who can offer a different perspective when we get stuck in those negative thought patterns.
Exactly. And speaking of shifting perspectives, I think it's time we delve into how this idea of using imagination for transformation relates to another key Jungian concept, archetypes.
Oh, this is getting really interesting.
It is.
I've heard the term archetypes before, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Well, archetypes are these universal primordial patterns of energy and behavior that exist in the collective unconscious. Jung believed that these archetypes, like the hero, the sage, the mother, the trickster, they influence our personalities and behaviors.
So we all have these archetypal energies within us that are kind of shaping how we think and feel and act.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is, we can consciously choose to work with these archetypes, to embody their qualities and integrate them into our sense of self.
So, for example, if I wanted to cultivate more courage, more leadership qualities, I could connect with the archetype of the hero.
Exactly. By visualizing yourself embodying those qualities of the hero, facing challenges head on, overcoming obstacles, you're tapping into that archetypal energy and allowing it to shape your behavior.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's like we have access to this whole library of archetypal wisdom and power that we can draw upon to create the life we desire.
And the key to accessing that wisdom is imagination.
Imagination.
By visualizing ourselves embodying these archetypal qualities. We're inviting them to become a more active part of our lives.
Exactly. It's like you're stepping into a role, playing a part. But in doing so, you're actually becoming more of who you truly are.
It's like we're not limited to our current circumstances or our past experiences. We have this power to draw upon these archetypal energies.
We do.
These universal patterns of wisdom to create a future that's really aligned with our highest aspirations.
Exactly. And remember, the journey of self-discovery and transformation, it's ongoing. It's a lifelong process of exploring the depths of our own being. Embracing our shadows, connecting with our archetypes, and using our imaginations to create a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling.
This is so inspiring.
It is. But before we get too carried away with the, esoteric side of things, I think it's important to bring this back down to earth a little bit and talk about the practical implications of using our imagination to create a life of abundance.
Yeah, let's talk about that because as fascinating as all this Jungian stuff is, I think a lot of people are wondering, like, how do I actually apply this to my everyday life?
Yeah, and that's what we're going to get into next.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From basic visualization all the way to deep Jungian psychology.
It's been quite a journey.
But let's bring it back to this idea of abundance that the video keeps talking about. Because for a lot of people, abundance just equals wealth. We know it's more than that.
It is, true abundance is a holistic experience. It includes every aspect of life. Joy, love, purpose, creativity, health, and financial well-being too.
It's not just about the money.
No, not at all.
It's about a deep appreciation for everything.
Cultivating a deep sense of gratitude for everything we have and everything we are.
So it's not just about attracting more stuff. It's about appreciating the richness of life itself.
Exactly.
And what's interesting is that when we cultivate that inner sense of abundance, that's when more good stuff seems to flow into our lives.
It often does. It's like you become a magnet for blessings.
Because we're shifting our energy.
You're shifting your vibration to align with that abundant frequency that's all around us.
Okay, I can get behind that. But, it can be tough to shift our mindset, especially when we're dealing with challenges.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do we make abundance a daily reality?
Well, it starts with a conscious shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on what we lack.
We choose to appreciate what we already have. We practice gratitude for even the small things, like a sunny morning, a good conversation, the simple act of breathing.
We can use our imagination to amplify that gratitude too, right?
Absolutely,
Not just thinking, I'm grateful for this, but really picturing it, feeling it.
Engaging your senses makes it more real for your subconscious.
And we can also use our imagination to create a vision of that abundant life we want.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you can see yourself living with purpose, passion, surrounded by loving relationships, making a positive impact.
So we're not just waiting for abundance to find us. We're actively shaping it.
You're taking control.
Through our thoughts, feelings, and actions.
You're becoming a conscious creator.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
It is.
And it all goes back to that idea from the video. Our imagination is limitless.
Right.
But sometimes it's hard to actually believe that.
I know, it's true. Like, can we really manifest anything we want? How do we get past that doubt?
Well, we've been conditioned to see limitations.
Right.
To view the world through a lens of scarcity.
Yeah.
But those limitations, they often only exist in our minds.
So how do we break free from those mental constraints?
It starts with a willingness to consider the impossible. Expanding our awareness.
Okay.
Questioning our assumptions.
Yeah.
Opening ourselves to the unknown.
It's like a whole new way of looking at the world.
It is. It's about cultivating a sense of wonder and possibility.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's a journey, right?
It is. It's a journey of self-discovery.
A commitment to exploring our full potential.
Exactly. And the more we explore the vastness of our own imaginations, the more we realize that anything truly is possible.
The world becomes our canvas.
Exactly.
And we're the artists.
You got it.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
I feel like we've been given this whole new set of tools to shape our lives. So, any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they embark on their own journeys of imagination and abundance?
Remember, you are the creator of your own reality. Your imagination is your most powerful tool.
Okay.
Use it wisely, use it boldly, and use it to create a life that's full of joy, purpose, and abundance.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for guiding us through this exploration.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to put what you've learned into practice.
Yes.
Start small, be consistent.
And you got it.
And watch as your imagination transforms your life in ways you never thought possible.
I believe it.
This is The Deep Dive. Signing off until next time.
See you next time.
Keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep believing in the power of your own incredible mind.